Hi, I'm Josh Cadillac, and welcome to my podcast, Know Your Shit. I've been blessed to see great success, as well as seeing the bottom up close and personal in 2008. And if there's one lesson I've learned, is that if you want to have success and differentiate yourself from everyone else out there, you need to know your shit. As a successful real estate and crypto investor and an educator, it drives me insane that people do not immerse themselves in their craft. Everyone is so busy advertising and testing new sales techniques, they forget the most important thing, the product. Here I want to talk to the folks that got this right, the most successful people in the world in every industry. Bring them to you and find out what they learned in their business that made it great. When you listen to my podcast, you will know for sure that the topics and experts we have on have one thing in common. They know their shit. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Know Your Shit podcast, where our knowledge and pride in what we do drives us to be excellent. My name is Josh Cadillac, and I'll be in the driver's seat for today's show as we strive to learn how to stop doing deals and start closing for life. We have a great show for you today, and actually we have a great guest for you, somebody I consider a personal friend, Mr. Craig Grant. He has been a real estate speaker for, I don't know, since Noah and the Ark, I believe. It's been a
something like that. Well, for technology, yeah, from day one, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Since there was technology, this is the guy. So Craig, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Thanks, man. Absolutely.
Rather than me trying to explain to everybody what you do, why don't you tell everybody what is it that you do?
Sure. A couple of things. One, my main thing is I am a speaker, instructor within the real estate and mostly within the real estate industry, but of course I do a lot of events outside of it as well. That mostly focus on just about anything geeky, technology, marketing, cybersecurity. I would say if there's a geeky topic, I cover it. I just try to do it in non-geeky ways.
You're awesome. Yeah, no, there's nothing worse than being in that classroom where all you hear is stuff that you're completely zoned out after minute 3.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, that's painful. So what got you started doing that, Craig?
Honestly, I've always been a bit of a techie. Going back to as a kid, I was the kind of kid who my parents would leave the room and I'd take something apart and they'd be like, "What did you just do?" I've always been a tinkerer. And my background before was a speaker in the real estate industry. I originally started working at a newspaper that's owned by the New York Times, right as the internet was really just starting, at least public internet. And I was kind of bored. And I literally joked around with my manager saying, "Hey, I'm bored. Give me something to do." And he's like, "Yeah, we're trying to figure out that little internet thing. Why don't you go try to help that old guy figure it out?" And that was kind of like my entry point where I was like, all right, I was just an intern. I figured out the internet for them so well. And most people don't know this, but the newspaper in Gainesville, Florida was, I think, the third newspaper in the country to have an online newspaper. And I'm the one that helped them figure that out. And then I was in charge of all the marketing, all the sales and everything for digital marketing, first with the Gainesville paper, then I expanded on to several other papers. And eventually I was the national trainer for the New York Times in digital media. And so I always loved tech and I always loved kind of teaching and coaching and how to do that kind of stuff. So when I got sick of making New York Times a lot of money and went off my own, that's when I kind of broke into real estate.
Gotcha. And so I think maybe the question that maybe we need to get to is, what do you think when you look at it, where do you think all the success that you've experienced as a speaker has come from for you?
One, I am a geek, but I always say I'm like, I joked a minute ago, like I try to strip all the geekiness out of any topic I speak about. So most geeks are just purely geeks and they can't speak to regular people and they sure damn can't coach or teach them how to do tech. Most techies get annoyed with people within 2 seconds. So to me, that's really, I consider my gift is making things that are technical, non-technical, and then just having the patience to be able to teach people what they need to do to use it, because most people are just flat out scared of technology. They really are. And that really is the barrier that keeps them from moving forward, is they're just that fear. So I try to just strip that fear out of it for them.
That fear that you're going to push the one button that makes your computer just go away.
Absolutely. They're going to blow it all up.
Absolutely. No, look, I have a mom and, it's always, she calls me over and it's, what did you put? Like, I don't even know how you got here. How did you do it? And so it's a thing. It's a thing. And it's almost a reasonable fear for them by virtue of the fact that they have screwed it up before. They don't know, and so maintaining that empathy, I think that I know for me as a speaker, that's something that I think you and I both try to to
It
keep
is.
front of mind is, like, I know everybody's not like me. So
Correct.
how do I bring it to them and get them to like it like I do if I can build that fire in their belly.
Exactly. I mean, so few of our students or people that come to our events are as passionate about our topics as we are. But if we can get them to go away with just a fraction of what we have for it, that's all that matters. You know what I mean? So, I mean, to me, it's about passion and empathy is really kind of the biggest things.
Yeah, no, those to me are, I think, the secret sauce too, a little bit. I would agree with that. So
Yeah.
what do you like best about what you do, Craig?
Helping people, to be honest. I mean, I'm not the kind of person who donates every free minute at the soup kitchen, you know what I mean? But I really do love just helping somebody get over that fear and helping it improve their business. And I've had so many, I'm sure you have the same thing. So many of my students will send me emails and love letters and contact me online after a class saying, thank you so much. You've changed my business and even changed my life. And to me, that's really what kind of keeps me going. Like, the money's great, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's about helping people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's always better if you can do a work that you feel like actually does good.
Yep.
I know for me, when I started in real estate, I was doing a ton of short sales, and I was, getting these people out of these situations that were super upside down. And I knew that I was going to work. In addition to making all the money that I was making, I was helping people out of a situation. And I mean, they were just similar to what you're talking about. Terrified,
Absolutely.
didn't know what to do. And now we're unpacking this and giving them a solution. You can just kind of see the pressure unwind.
Absolutely.
And
And that, to me, that's an aha moment as a speaker. It's like when you can just see them sign, be like, oh, this isn't terrifying. It's not going to destroy my life.
absolutely.
I mean, it's going to help it. That's a lot of what pushes me forward.
I love it, man. So what do you think makes you good at it?
I mean, other than things we just talked about, I mean, because I mean, to me, again, it is the passion, it's the empathy. But overall, with me, it's I don't think there's too many people out there that have my knowledge in my subject matter. Yeah, I mean, like people, a lot, like the biggest complaint I get from many of my students is overload. It's so much information that to me, that's a blessing and a curse at the same time. Is I have a lot of stuff up here and I want to share it with everybody. So 95% of people that come to my classes or events for that love it because they're getting so much more information they get from anybody else. But I'll run to the occasion ones like, whoa, that's a little too much for me.
Yeah. I've definitely run into the exact same thing. And it's, one of the problems is a lot of times there's just a certain quantity to give you the minimum amount for you to get your head around this thing. There's a minimum quantity of information I need you to get. And if that exceeds capacity, there's like, you can't be like halfway pregnant. You either got to get the whole idea. Like if I try to give you half, it's not going to work.
That's a good saying. I got to steal that one.
Oh, by all means, it's there for you. So, what do you think gives you the edge, Craig? When you get in that room, what do you think gives you the edge? Where do you think it came from?
I don't know about once I get in the room, like when I'm doing an event, but I think what gets me the gigs and gets me at those events is I'm a flat out sponge. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know about you, but in the tech and marketing world, nothing stays the same for 2 days in a row.
Sure.
So I've seen other speakers in the industry, even in my areas, get up there and teach stuff that's 5 years old and 100% incorrect. You'll never see that with me. I mean, my stuff is constantly evolving. I'm updating my slide decks on a weekly basis sometimes because things change. It's never ending.
Yeah, no, that's one of the reasons why. One of the great things about you and I is I'll never be a competitor of yours because that fear of being behind the times. I mean, with the crypto stuff, I'm having to update it all the time, and it's one of the few places where our Venn diagram kind of gets close to each other because it's kind of seen as a technology thing. But no, I mean it's tremendous respect for me to you because you've taken on that behemoth of staying on top of this thing that's going to require you to be eyeballs deep in this all the time.
Yeah And same with you in your areas, man. It's not easy, but you talked about that joke about being half pregnant, right? But there's a lot of speakers that bill themselves as being an industry expert, and then there's talking about stuff that's way outdated and wrong, or giving horrible advice. You know what I mean? That's never going to happen with someone like you and me because we do have too much invested in it. We do care too much about our topics, but to me, that is part of the secret sauce. It really is.
One of the things I talk about all the time is standards, and one of the standards I think that anybody that does this that cares should have is I won't put out garbage.
Yep.
You know, I just, if it's not a good product, I'd rather walk away and focus on something else than turn out a garbage product.
100%.
It's
Yeah, and at the same, and I've seen so many other people in the industry. I'll just pick up a new topic just so I can get hired one more time for it. Like, if you're not passionate about a topic and you're not an expert on it, everyone knows it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, there's no way you can deliver it with the right passion and the right expertise if you don't really love that subject. So, I mean, when I coach other speakers and I do train a lot of speakers, I try to teach them, you got to stay in your lane. Don't just go off target just so you can get one extra gig. Like, you got to be passionate about anything you speak about. It's always got to be the best stuff.
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, for me, I always try to maintain a healthy terror that I'm
Mhm.
going to walk into the room and there's going to be somebody that lives, breathes, and sleep this thing that I'm teaching on. And
Absolutely.
I want to make sure that I know enough that that person walks out of that room happy.
Absolutely. And when you nail that person, like I just did an event a couple weeks ago, and I was teaching cybersecurity, and one of the guys in the room was a former cybersecurity expert for the NSA. I mean, and I was like, awesome. I'm like, and he told me after the class, he goes, honestly, that was the best one I've ever seen, including people that come and taught us at the NSA and the FBI. I was like, thank God.
Yeah. No, I 100%, man. I got like, that's the kind of class when you find out that person's in the room, you don't need any caffeine to be 100% in because you have to be on top of your game.
Yep. Yeah. But I mean, a couple of times I even kind of fact checked the guy and he was like, yep, you're right. I'm like, thank you. But I agree. Like, you got to have that fear in you that there's someone in that room that might be smarter than you. And that's why, to me, you have to be a sponge in this business, whether you're a speaker, whether you're a practicing agent, whatever it might be. If you're not a sponge, it doesn't work.
No, that makes sense. I mean, I'll never forget my terror moment was, I have a good friend, actually the brokerage that I work for, he's the broker, and he asked me to do a class on the Florida contract.
Yep.
For him as like a free class. And so we went up with like 700 people on Zoom that signed up for this thing.
Oh, lovely. For free.
For free, right? Well, he was using it for recruiting and,
Yeah.
whatever. He's a friend.
100%.
And the thing is, he had me co-teach it with the attorney that's on the Florida bar,
Lovely.
who helped contribute to the contract. So if you want to talk about the one guy in the room that could definitely tell you, yeah, everything you just said is absolute garbage. Like, yep. I'm pretty sure I'm right on all this stuff. I've checked it with the attorneys, but this is the attorney. Yep. And yeah, no, making it through those and, coming out righteous on the other side, man, it's a great feeling that, you've actually done your homework and stayed on top of things.
It is. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. I think you've given us one, but what are the most important things you've learned in the process of doing what you do? If we wanted to take, because the people that listen to this is a cross section of people, right?
Right.
And so this is just saying, hey, look, in business and life, this is the stuff. Being a sponge, I think that's a great tip for people. Mm-hmm. I like to refer to as just pay attention, for God's sake. See what's going on and like be curious. Like, why is it like that? But what else, Craig? Anything that comes to mind that you say is?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know it's something that you preach 100% as well. Not just preach. I know you walk the walk on it. It's relationships. I don't care what aspect of the business you're doing, whether it's a speaker, practicing agent, whatever it might be, it always goes back to relationships. And so many people don't understand that. And they just think business should just show up in their lap, or, they're going to get rehired 15 times, and they don't put in the work to build and maintain relationships. To me, it always goes back to relationships.
Yeah, no, I've seen you live that, and it's super impressive to me how you've done that and how you always do that. And it matters. It really does.
It does, 100%. I always say even though you and I might be, high up there in our expertise in our categories, there's always someone out there who could take our business. You know what I mean? But if there's a friendship in place, now you're indispensable.
When I teach negotiation, one of the things that's the untouted item when it comes to negotiation is rapport.
Yeah.
When you build rapport with someone, because I'm in the real estate industry, and you teach in the real estate industry too. There is this over push to build rapport with the customer all the time. And I agree, rapport is important, but it's not the only game in town. But when it comes to negotiation, the reason for rapport is it humanizes you in the eyes of the person you're working with. They start to think of you as a person that has a life and a house payment and kids and all these other things, and they don't want to hurt you.
Correct.
And that the value of that changes the entire negotiation dynamic, and it really it's free points in your favor, because if you can win or lose it, it can be just enough weight in that side of the scale to keep that business coming back over and over and over again. So it does matter.
It does, 100%. Again, I mean, I know you tout the same kind of stuff. Like I always say, if you're struggling to get business, your business sitting right there in your database. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, gold.
When's the last time you reached? Yeah. When's the last time you reached out personally? Not just do you want to list with me? When's the last time you reached out and said, hey, how are you doing? You know what I mean? How was your holidays? How's the family? Like that is what builds not just getting hired, but referrals and everything else is through those relationships.
Sure. No, I mean, one of the things that I try to do when I talk to customers, and whether it's for speaking or real estate, it doesn't matter. I'll try to think of how I could take when they answer the phone, what I could say to make them smile. Like, could I say something to crack them up a little bit? Could I just make their day that much better? Because when that happens, I'm the guy that when I call, they feel good. And it's a gift I'm trying to give to them, because I'm thinking about them. Yeah, I'd like to get business out, but if I don't get business out of whatever, somebody's life's a little better, I'll take that.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, there's enough business to go around. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I mean, I hear every realtor get, like, when they come to my class and we talk about this kind of stuff. Oh, they hire, I thought that was like, we're close friends, best friends, and they hired another realtor. Yeah, that's gonna happen. You're gonna get burned at different times, right? They're gonna use somebody else, but that doesn't mean you throw in the towel on relationships with everybody else.
Look,
right?
I don't even throw the towel with that relationship. I keep calling back and say, hey, how's that other agent doing for you?
Absolutely.
Because 2 years from now, they're going to forget that agent's name, and I'll still be standing.
Or they might refer 3 other people to you. A lot of times somebody doesn't hire somebody that they know because they might want to fire you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Who's the worst customers? Family and friends. So a lot of times it's that, but I hear so many realtors are like, just relationships aren't worth it anymore. People aren't loyal. Yeah, they're not as loyal as they used to be, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't still work that aspect of the business at all times.
I got a dirty little secret for you, because agents aren't as loyal as they used to be either.
Fact.
And, it's something that actually, there was a story, I think I may have even told you the story about it, but I had met with I was teaching a class, and an agent came up to me after the class and said something along the lines of, I'm thinking about getting ready to fire this customer. And immediately, the hair on the back of my neck stands up, like, wait a second. Because I mean, agents do this. They love that line, fire a customer, because it makes them feel somewhat empowered, because their deal is spiraling in a direction that they don't like.
Right.
And so I said, why are you going to fire them? Well, I think that they're trying to do this shady thing behind the scenes and whatever else. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. Do you want to close this deal, or do you want to close every deal that they've ever going to do? If you want to close every deal that they're ever going to do, I jump out in front of them, whatever the problem is. If they're thinking about trying to cancel a listing or something, hey, look, guys, would you like to cancel this? Before they get a chance to ask me, you want to cancel? Let's get it. What can I do to make your universe better? How can I serve you? Because I don't want this deal. I want to be the only person they ever call for anything they ever need.
Right. Yeah. No, I 100% agree. Now, don't be wrong. Every once in a while, you run into that crazy where they're going to eat up more of your time and more of your stress than it may be worth. But again, relationships matter, and people talk and people review.
Absolutely. And so what's cool is 2 months later, I went back to the same place, took the advice. Not only did I not take that listing and let her sell it, they gave her another one besides.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, I mean, it works. You want to be that person that's on their team, not the person that's combating against them. And it's so much in this business has become this confrontational style of business. It's just not worth it.
Agreed.
And so
again, there's enough food to go around for everybody. Even when listing inventory was nothing, there's still enough food. Like, there's never a reason to ever bash or talk nasty about a competitor or whatever it might be, because it always comes back. Karma is real in the business world. It really is.
Okay. Got a two-parter for you here.
Yes, sir.
What are you most proud of in business that you've accomplished?
Hmm. Um, I mean, one, building a successful, sustainable business on my own. I mean, when you work in the corporate world and you leave it with no parachute, nothing, that's definitely something I'm always proud at the end of the day that I can provide for my family and do what I do.
Sure.
Um, and I guess the other one would be the success of my RETI site, my membership site, because that has grown from nothing. And I've put in a lot of tears into that thing, but we're now just about to hit 100,000 members. So those are probably my two biggies.
I always love when the BST pays off, the blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes, sir.
That's the thing, man. And so if you didn't say it, I was going to say it because I know that is really a major undertaking that you've committed a lot of your soul to. And
Yeah, it has.
it's really something to be proud of, man. So
Thank you.
congrats.
Appreciate that.
And so let's take and flip it. We talked about business. How about in life in general? What are you most proud of, bud?
Oh, my kids, without a doubt.
Awesome.
Yep.
Good stuff.
I have a 9-year-old daughter, 15-year-old son, and don't be wrong, there's days, not, some days are different than others, but yeah, but at the end of the day, they're definitely my best accomplishment. So
Awesome, man. If you could give people one piece of advice that are listening, what would that one piece of advice be?
um don't be afraid to try something new and don't let fear hold you back. Again, I mean, I approach it from the tech side of things, wherever that's the biggest thing that keeps hold people back, is that fear. And I don't want to change what I'm doing and I'm used to my routine. But to me, that is honestly everything success I've had in life is because I wasn't afraid to try something new. I
Love
mean,
it. Ye- Love it.
yeah,
Craig, I got to tell you, I've interviewed a lot of people on the show, and I keep coming back to some version of that. That's a lesson my father used to tell me in his
yep,
own way. People say it in a different way. I mean, figure
yeah.
out how not to say no to things, or figure out how I can say yes to things, whatever. I've heard this a lot. And so that seems to be a lot of the major secret sauce of a lot of people that have been highly successful.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure has heard the crazy stories of Colonel Sanders getting turned down 1,006 times because somebody bought his recipe for KFC. I mean, like, there's so many stories throughout history of people who become ridiculously successful just because they wouldn't take no for an answer or they weren't afraid to try something.
All right. So this next one is optional. You can go one way, the other way, or if
All
you want both.
right.
What one book or movie would you recommend for somebody to listen to, read, listen to, watch, whatever?
From a business standpoint, or for what? Fun or
If I want to be half as awesome as Craig Grant, this is where I would start. A book that maybe made a difference to you, a movie, whatever.
that's a good one. I mean, I'm honestly not a big reader. If it's not online, I'm typically not reading. You know what I mean?
You got to keep up with technology. You don't have time for any of this
I mean,
reading.
yeah, that's kind of it. Like I'm all the technology blogs and websites and everything. So I'm not a big reader. Um, movie. I mean, I try to not take things too seriously, so I'll throw in Dumb and Dumber because
There we go.
no, I mean, because
There you go.
honestly, well, that's honestly one thing I think is extremely important is that so many people let stress get to them and they just, it's another thing that keeps them back or whatever it might be is they're always looking for somebody to blame. They're always, angry or uptight or whatever. And I've gotten to the point in my life where things just don't bother me. I mean, if something is, I'll just kick back and watch a comedy like that or whatever and just recalibrate. But
Sure.
I try not to let things get to me anymore. It's
Well,
at the end of the day, I'm going to be, I'm fine with me.
yeah. No, well, you know me, I'm a big believer in being a good CEO to yourself and taking
Yep.
care of the staff. So, recognizing that the staff needs a break sometime. You can't be a slave driver 24/7. And
Absolutely.
you and I both are big believers in pushing hard to get done what needs to get done because there's always a lot to get done. But,
Yeah. But when it's time to punch out the clock, that's our time. Now we're back to us. You know what I mean?
and you got to
To me,
respect it.
yep. Yeah. So to me, that is, I'm a big believer in you got to have some balance in your life. It can't just be all one thing. Which is why when I'm off the road, I'm with my family almost all the time. I'm doing stuff that kind of makes me happy.
That's awesome sauce, man. Awesome sauce. So I know you're a busy guy,
Mhm.
and I know you're constantly thinking. There's got to be something that's next on the horizon for you. What's the next project? What's the next thing? The next big thing you're working on?
Um, I can tell you what's been on my to-do list forever and has not been checked off is writing a book, but
All right.
yeah, will it get done? We'll see. Maybe 2023 is the year. We'll see. But it's always something I've said I'm going to do, but I'm also a believer in the minute you write a book in the tech world, it's already wrong. So I got to figure out what that story is that I want to tell that
Yeah.
won't go wrong quick.
Yeah, no, that's a thing. That's a thing.
Yep.
It really is. I mean, even for me, talk about the real estate market today. By the time the book comes out, it's a
Yeah.
year. It's a year out of date.
Yeah. And good luck trying to write anything about crypto. That'll be wrong within 6 seconds.
Yeah. Before you hit enter, hit save. It's wrong.
Yep.
So, well, the other thing is, I know that you're working on a speaking group for speakers. We had been talking about that. That's one of the big projects that you're working on as well. I don't know if you want to take and put that out there a little bit. Just tell folks.
Yeah, sure. So through my site, RETI.us, which stands for Real Estate Technology Institute, we started what we call the Real Estate Speakers Academy. And what we do is, like, on my RETI team, we already have a team of 7 really good tech and marketing speakers in the industry that are a part of the RETI team. But the academy is, we're kind of looking for that next wave of speakers and we're not talking young, but maybe they're someone that's wanting to break into the speaking business and doesn't understand. I mean, by the way, I'm sure because you've been kind of figuring it out really fast, but there is no playbook in this industry. It's like, you got to figure out everything on your own. Like, yeah, I mean,
I'll find somebody like you that's kind enough to take and share some knowledge with somebody that's trying to figure it out. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's kind of what the Speakers Academy is. And we're about to, by the way, we did our first inaugural class, graduated a few weeks ago. And a couple of them are not going to be part of the RTI team. And we're going to have our second class. We're going to be putting that out in a few weeks of, if you really want to be a great speaker and learn the business and learn how to get hired and learn how to build courses and get into big events and everything, here's how to do it. So it's kind of like sharing everything that, and my buddy Alex and I are the ones, Alex Amelia, we're doing it together. It's everything that we learned the hard way, sharing it to somebody who really wants to get into the business.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So I think you may have already answered this, but I'll give you a chance to take and expand on your answer and see if there's anything else besides watching reruns of Dumb and Dumber. What do you do to unwind, Craig?
It's mostly the family stuff. Like my daughter, I was always a sports junkie. And my daughter definitely has that bug. So I coach her basketball team. I spend a lot of time working with her. It's just doing stuff with the kids and the family and my wife and everything. It's like, that's to me is what I do to unwind. I mean, if I'm alone, which doesn't happen very often, I'll sit back and watch sports or watch a funny movie or whatever. But really, that is what helps me decode.
All right, I'm going to throw one at you that I don't normally, which is on specifically on the topic that you specialize in.
Yeah.
What to your mind right now is the thing that people should be most concerned with on a technology front?
I mean, cybersecurity in general. I mean, we'll put it this way. I mean, as a regular consumer, you're already a target to hackers and cyber criminals to begin with. You know what I mean? 30,000 victims a day. But when you throw the real estate aspect on top of it, it's a whole nother level of being a target. Like I talk about this all the time. Real estate's the number 5 most targeted industry in the cybercrime world. So they come after real estate like crazy for a whole bunch of reasons. And the typical realtor has no training and no understanding how to protect themselves. So that's one of the main topics I speak on is cybersecurity. And I always say you come in knowing nothing, and hopefully I can leave and fix you by the time the end of the class, because the typical realtor is just a sitting duck. They really are.
What is the number one thing that you're seeing as far as how this is happening? Is it the attacks on the title companies trying to get the wiring instructions, or where is the
wire transfer fraud? It's when you look at dollar value. Yeah. I mean, because last year was over $3 billion got lost in wire transfer fraud. But when you just talk about number of incidences, it's all forms of phishing scams, whether it's ransomware, whether it's access into an account. And by the way, phishing scams are so easy to detect if you just know what to look for. But the average person gets an email, clicks on any link. They just, they do things that they don't look at the email sender's address or anything like that. And now they can get compromised in 8 different directions. So it's stuff like that. And like a new session that Alex and I have started doing together is literally showing people, you just go down to your coffee shop and anybody could be sitting in there waiting to hack you. Like we now do a session where we hack people in real time, like in the class, because that's the reality is the typical consumer just walking around has no idea who's sitting in that booth over there, or who's sitting in the next building over that can still tap your information when you go to that hotel or whatever it might be. You know what I mean? So, and again, it's all stuff that's easily fixable if you just know the little things to tweak. But I mean, everybody these days is a target for cyber criminals. They really are.
Yeah, no, it's a scary world in which we live, and
Yep.
I wanted to give you a chance to scare the hell out of everybody just a little bit.
Yeah, it's when I teach cyber, I always say bring a spare of underwear because it's gonna get real.
Yeah, it needs to because it's a scary world that we live in when it comes to that stuff. So, last question for you, Craig, and you've survived the gauntlet. If folks want to find you, they're like, I got to get me some more Craig Grant. Where do they go?
If they're on the realtor side of things, they can go to reti.us. That's my whole membership site where we have over 3,000 instructional videos and product reviews and webinars and everything. So by the way, every single Wednesday at 4:00 Eastern, me and my team do free webinars every single week. So even if you're not a member of the site, you could always attend as many of our weekly webinars as you want to. But we're hoping that gets you interested where you check out the site and consider getting an account. So if you're a realtor, you'd find me and my stuff on RETI. If you're an event planner, an association staff member, or whatever, you would go check out my speaker site, which is craigrand.info.
Good stuff. Well, Craig, as always, anytime I get a chance to hang out with you, it's a good
No doubt, man. Yep.
I just want to say thanks for coming on, man, and for chatting with me for a little bit.
Anytime, brother.
All right, man. Take care of yourself.
Yep. You too.